So now that you have a clearer picture of what experiential learning is and why it's valuable to our practice as speech-language pathologists, I'm now going to begin section 2 of this presentation, where I'll share innovative interventions that I've come up with incorporating experiential learning principles into our speech and language lessons. Just so you know, as I share these lessons, I may throw in a few curveballs so you can really analyze whether or not the intervention I'm sharing is truly experiential, so pay extra close attention. I'll be providing a variety of lessons, and I think one of the things you'll most appreciate as busy SLPs is how they naturally work well for a variety of goals. In most cases, the activities I'll be sharing can be used to target specific articulation and language skills simultaneously. Here you'll see a list of the 15 experience types I'll be focusing on. All of these interventions have been designed for school-age children. Generally, I've tried to present them so that the level of complexity of the activities increases as the presentation goes on, since some of you may work predominantly with one specific age group of school-age children. So, let's start out with some articulation cards. In this picture, you'll notice that the SLP has placed S-blend cards in a sensory bin, which in this case is filled with kinetic sand. In this lesson, the student selects a card, practices the word, and plays with the sand. So, let me ask you, would you say the learning target, in this case S-blends, is meaningful and memorable? Is this child-centered or clinician-directed? If you guessed that it's clinician-directed, you're correct. And if you noticed that it's a form of drill play, you get extra credit. I would argue that although this activity is motivating, the S-blend learning target is not meaningful, nor is it memorable. Most likely, students will remember the sand more than they will remember the S-blend words being targeted. Again, there is a time and a place for drill play. However, we are specifically looking at effective experiential learning techniques to increase generalization here. Let's take this same deck of S-blend articulation cards and transform this lesson from clinician-directed drill play to child-centered experiential learning. We don't even need the kinetic sand to make it motivating for our students, and this narrative activity that I'm about to share with you will make the S-blend learning target both meaningful and memorable. To do this activity with your student, gather any cards containing the learning target your student is working on and play a game of Connect the Story. Here's how you play. Simply pick up any card from the deck and begin a silly story incorporating the word on that card. Then ask your student to pick up another card and create the next part of the story. Keep taking turns with the cards and the story creation until you've used all the cards and the story is completed. Not only will you find that your students are highly motivated to do this, you'll also see that the activity provides significantly more S-blend trials than your S-blend cards would have by themselves as you create the narrative. I really think you'll be amazed, as I have been, by how well and how enthusiastically students remember your silly stories as you reflect on them afterwards. Here's an example illustrating how you can do this with these 9 cards. And again, you'll see how I'm practicing my S-blends way more than 9 times. Once upon a time, there was a group of astronauts getting ready to take a trip to the moon in their spaceship. The astronauts decided that they wanted to have a special dinner before going into space, since space food isn't very tasty. So the astronauts went to a fancy restaurant and ordered spaghetti with meatballs and a big plate of lobster with pasta. At the restaurant, the astronauts noticed something strange about the lobster. It was very stinky, and after they ate it, they started sneezing. To get rid of that strange feeling, the astronauts washed their mouths out with toothpaste. But they still felt strange, and the sneezing got even more intense and stressful, so the astronauts decided to go to the hospital. As the astronauts traveled to the hospital, they got stuck in a major traffic jam. So they took out their skateboards and rode to the hospital as fast as they could. We went from 9 words on S-Blend cards to 34 S-Blend productions. The beauty of this activity is that it doesn't get old.